Welcome back to the 750. I am your RJ Ochoa. He is your 7'5", two-time Super Bowl champion, college football Hall of Famer, and by the looks of it, one of Santa's most hardest-working elves, the one, the only, Tony Casillas. TC, what up?
I'm doing great. This is the Christmas week, and try to create some spirit. And as I mentioned before we started our podcast, it's we try to celebrate the holiday as much as possible. Probably more this year because of just the pandemic. But yeah, I mean, I am trying to create some spirit, and I will, I guess, go to all extremes to spread the joy. So, however ridiculous I may look. As long as we're happy and we're creating some spirit, that's I guess that would be my goal. So
I think you look sharp, Tony. Anybody that's watching on YouTube can see you're decked out in the holiday spirit. So,
by the way, I think if you haven't got your Christmas shopping done, when does Amazon quit delivering?
Well, now, I mean, you're flirting with like getting it in time because
you're flirting with disaster right now.
Yeah, because today our recording day is the 22nd. So hopefully, and shout out to all the delivery drivers in the world. I mean, all throughout this year and certainly this time of year, making things happen for a lot of people. So, Tony, I have two things that I want to start with before we get into the Cowboys. The first, the NFL lost one of its greatest players on Monday. Kevin Green, the Pro Football Hall of Famer, won a Super Bowl with the Green Bay Packers. Mike McCarthy's Green Bay Packers on his staff in 2010 that won Super Bowl 45. Played in your era, one of the most dominant defensive linemen, to ever line up. I mean, I saw you tweet about it. I mean, he was so young. Just what a tragedy.
Yeah, I think that it really resonates with me more, RJ, because I go back to, and I'm not trying to put something out there in the universe, goes back to when I was a player, and every year the NFLPA president, we'd have a meeting with all the players and just did a statistic on the mortality of players that played in the National Football League, how the longevity of life and mortality rate, and how alarmingly sad it was. And so I guess the point is that when Kevin Green especially was just this very charismatic player. I mean, he was kind of the WWE type of just the type of guy. I mean, he did that. I think he did one of those Wrestling Mania deals, but he just played with so much passion. I mean, he wasn't the biggest dude, but he just loved to rush the passer. And I always thought a guy like that would live forever. And as you mentioned, 58 years old and dying from sudden causes. I'm not even going to assume what happened, but that's regardless of what the fact is that he's gone at 58 years old. That, man, he's a brother. I mean, in the fraternity in the National Football League,
right.
And especially in my era, and people that watched him, and it is, again, I go back to that mortality rate, and I think about the life is so short. It really is, and we don't think about that. I mean, obviously, I'm a lot older than you, but you just never know. But I mean, he was such an electric player. He was contagious. He was a guy that was undersized, a guy that just played with a lot of enthusiasm, just really knew the nuances of the game, studied. We're talking about a guy that's third in all-time sacks in the National Football League and gone at 58, man. And look, I mean, he had that Superman persona. And
right.
You think Superman lives forever, but as you mentioned, gone at 58 years old. It's so sad, and just think about his family and everything else. But man, there's too many things going on in 2020 that just sucks, and this is just an example of that. Just another person this was taken too early.
I thought Mike McCarthy sounded just, I mean, as you would imagine. I mean, just it's been a long year for a lot of people, and Mike McCarthy losing a friend and Kevin Green again. There's a great clip of Kevin Green from when the Packers won the Super Bowl, and he's talking to Clay Matthews, so a player that kind of played a lot like Kevin Green, just this fiery, loud, boisterous personality on the field. And coaching Clay up and saying, now's your time. We need to play. Got to go break this game open. And he forces a fumble on Rashard Mendenhall, the Pittsburgh Steelers running back at the time, that really swung that game. And just kind of one of those guys that people loved and sort of was like the center of electricity in the room.
Yeah, and if people don't know who Kevin Green is, I would just really recommend that you go and just look him up and watch his play. I mean, he was kind of that Lawrence Taylor type of the 3-4 outside rusher. Stood up and but yeah, I mean, the guy, if you watch him play, and you mentioned Clay Matthews, who played like, I don't know, 50 years in the National Football League, but again, had a lot of longevity. I mean, if you want to see a guy just really ball, go look up Kevin Green. I mean, he was the example of a baller.
So we're dropping this episode Tuesday afternoon, right about lunchtime for everybody. And if you're getting to it before the evening, I believe this evening, Tuesday evening, NFL Network is airing Kevin Green's episode of A Football Life, one of the better episodes. Yeah. And so you can go kind of learn about his life. Also, Kevin Green had one of the best Hall of Fame speeches I've ever heard. He was very passionate about the military. I mean, just again, a tragic loss. And it's hard to segue from that into anything else, Tony, but I did want to ask you about this. I saw you shared. I had no idea that this existed. Now, I know that you're a big Netflixer. My wife and I, by the way, started The Mandalorian from the very beginning, and so it's been a fun ride so far. Looking forward to finishing it and avoiding all spoilers. But something that a lot of people are watching, I know a lot of my family are watching, is the new series about Selena. And and I saw you shared. Holy crap! In 1993. In Arlington, she was performing, and you went out there to plug your TV show. Like, if you're listening, Google or YouTube Tony Casillas, Selena, Arlington. It was incredible. And dude, the jean shorts.
Oh yeah,
my gosh,
that was a '90s look. And man, I just got to touch my heart because it was so funny, ironic that you mentioned that I was, I finished the Selena series, and I had a chance to, just the privilege of meeting her and her family in the '90s. And, when the Cowboys were so dominant and just prevalent. And that's when her career really, the Tejana music and all these different festivals. So she performed a couple of times. I remember, I believe I introduced her at Texas Stadium, and there was like 25,000 people there. But just out of the blue, RJ, I get this DM from someone that said, look what I found. And I opened it up, it was this YouTube video of Selena performing in Arlington. And here I am, this football player, the Cowboys, the rock star Cowboys, the Latino, and introducing Selena and getting up there. And at that moment, I didn't realize, obviously, what the future would hold for her, and let alone the tragedy of her dying so young. But man, I couldn't help but just getting teared up and just emotionally about that, because, my Spanish wasn't good, and I felt really kind of, I would say, insecure when I tried to speak Spanish, because, I grew up, it was more prejudice to be Latino. Right. And so when I got up there, I was thinking, man, I just don't mess it up, Tony. And to see that, and to experience that. And again, as you mentioned, man, that's the '90s, but man, the fact that I was able to introduce an angel now, to be able to have that in my little archive resume video, man, that's one of my highlights of my career, man. I'm just glad. I'm trying to think of the guy I shared. I'll have to look it up, but man, praise to God, man, that he sent it to me, because I was searching for that. When all this came out, I was like, man, I got something.
So you remembered it and everything.
Yeah, I remember it. Yeah, I remember it. And I just don't, the video, it was a lost video, but man, it was really cool, man.
Wow.
It was a blessing. Really
again,
was.
the look just screamed '90s. Like,
my wife was like, damn, that's the thing. She said, how about that shirt you had on? You had this floral shirt on. And was it the jean shorts I had on?
It was jean short. Like you looked like you were going on the peak Hawaiian vacation. And
man.
What was super cool was, because I watched the whole thing. And the first view of you're signing some kid's shirt. Like, it's just the most '90s possible. And you can correct me if I'm wrong. This seemed like it was fairly quickly after the Super Bowl 27.
Oh my gosh!
After the first one.
Yeah, and she was there, and there were so many people there, and And I really got hooked on Tejana music when Selena came out on the scene. La Trope F.A., all these different,
Right.
90s.
Well, then her brother and yeah, totally.
Yeah.
Well, I wanted to give you credit because you said that y'all were going to go back and win it again, and you did.
Yeah, we did. That's the best part about it, man. I called it out.
Yeah, I don't think you got enough credit. You called it, so that was really cool. And
the video was a little grainy, wasn't it?
Oh, dude! Again,
definitely wasn't shot on an iPhone.
It was so like, and because again, this is like fresh on the mind of this year. It looked like footage from The Last Dance. You know what I'm saying? Like, because it was the same like time of year. So
I don't even think it was that good.
It was incredible.
Yeah.
Okay. So, well,
thanks for bringing that up, brother.
It was awesome.
I didn't even think about that, man.
Everybody needs to go YouTube that. But okay, Tony. So. The Pittsburgh Steelers lost on Monday night to a team that the Dallas Cowboys housed last week. So clearly the Dallas Cowboys are the best team in the NFL. But the Cowboys themselves, Tony, winners of 2 in a row for the first time this year. Hope is alive in the NFC East. The Cowboys are now depending on one of Kevin Green's teams, the Carolina Panthers. The Cowboys, if you somehow still haven't seen this, they need Washington to lose out and they need to win out. So Washington has the Panthers this week. Dallas has the Eagles and your boy Jalen Hurts. And then next week, Washington has Hurts himself and the Cowboys visit the Giants. Are you any more optimistic than you were this time last week, Tony?
I'm optimistic that they continue to finish games. I think there's still some issues with them. I don't want to discount what they've done. I mean, I looked at teams that they've won the last 2 games, and by any means is it that impressive. But Cincinnati beats Pittsburgh, and then so I think that it's credible. I think it's a lot better than again just getting ready for the holiday season and getting ready for the off season. The NFC East, I saw you tweeted that the Cowboys are the only one that won in the NFC East last week, and look, I don't think there's any reason why to think the Cowboys can't beat the Eagles. I mean, Jalen Hurts, which is kind of interesting. I mean, Oklahoma's claiming him as more than Alabama is, and I think he did more work at Alabama, but that's besides the point. The point is that I don't know. I think they can do enough things offensively to give them an opportunity to stay in the game. And I don't think we could have said this maybe 5 weeks ago. I think they can. I think Andy Dalton is efficient enough. I think the whole case and the whole the argument of Tony Pollard being able to create some more energy, and I think that's what happens. Everyone. I see on social media, everyone forgets about, Zeke has one bad year and everybody's hating him because but Tony Pollard is taking advantage of the situation. But to the point, as far as them winning out, I mean, I think they have a chance to do that. I don't think that the NFC East, does it really scare you? I mean, look at the teams in the NFC East.
Right.
And I think for them, I think that's important for them to mentally to try to finish out. And I don't think, the Eagles should scare him because I think Jalen Hurts is a young dude. I mean, he was good last week, but look, I mean, we've seen the games in the National Football League. I think the Eagles are better, obviously, with Jalen Hurts as opposed to Carson Wentz. But I think the Cowboys are in a pretty good position. I mean, they're not going to go anywhere. I mean, it's good to feel good about themselves, but other than that, I think that there's probably a little bit more, confidence than I did before.
So I have a few thoughts here. My first is both teams have improved at quarterback since the last time they played. The last Cowboys-Eagles game we got was Carson Wentz versus Ben DiNucci. This is better on both. And I think we both think I don't know that this really means anything, but the Cowboys have won 3 of their last 5 games. So, I mean, this isn't like an accident. I mean, it's not, again, the mark of a great team, but that kind of segues into my next point. I think that things are just kind of normalizing. So I tweeted out, you're right, that the Cowboys were the only team in the division to win. And I got a lot of Eagles fans in my mentions that were like, yeah, well, the Cowboys are the only team to play a team under 500 because the Eagles played the Cardinals, the Giants played the Browns, and the Washington football team played the Seattle Seahawks. And you think about that, the Cardinals, the Seahawks, the Browns, those are 3 teams that the Cowboys already got destroyed by this year. Meanwhile, the Cowboys obviously got to play the Niners, who these teams have played. Washington already beat them. And my point is, like, you know, the Cowboys ran into all those teams, those tough teams, early on in the season. And everybody thought there was this massive gap between between Dallas and the rest of the division. And I'm not trying to come out here and say that the Cowboys are really good. I just think while the Cowboys were running into the beast, the other teams were running into tomato cans. You know what I'm saying? And so, like, now, you know, the circle of parity is finishing, and the other teams are playing those really good teams, and the Cowboys are playing the tomato cans, and it's like, whoa, are the Cowboys better now? No, the Cowboys are just playing the bad teams. The other teams played earlier in the year. And so one of those teams is now the Eagles, and I think that will be an interesting matchup. Certainly. I agree with you mostly in that it's nice that Christmas is this week and that the Cowboys are in it. You know, families are going to talk all over the world and say, man, do you think the Cowboys can do this? And that's fun. Like, I'm a fan of that. I you know, it's never fun when they're mathematically eliminated, which they might be on Sunday. You mentioned the Zeke thing. That's without question the biggest takeaway from last week's win over the 49ers. I don't think it's completely fair to just throw away Zeke. But I do think that there is a lot of data to support that he's not this elite running back anymore, and that Tony Pollard should be part of the overall game plan.
Yeah, without a doubt, I think the argument's there. And I know for a player that has been injured before and someone go out and take advantage of the situation and see it just kind of unfold in your eyes, it's not a very good feeling. And I think we all wanted to prove we wanted to see Tony Pollard see what he could do when he got all the reps when it was his time,
right?
Where he could take advantage of the situation. And I think that we saw what his capability. I mean, the guy's slippery, he's elusive. We saw when he scored, he just wanted, you know, he pushed that accelerator and was able to, you know, just get away from the pack and score a touchdown. We saw that. We haven't seen that in Zeke. And look, I mean, it's the same offensive line that Zeke has had with this. I mean, they made a point in the broadcast. This is the first time this offensive line, the guys that they have starting now, has been together for the last 3 games. And
right.
So I mean, it doesn't. To me, it matters. And we mentioned this year is that Zeke is this franchise player. We want to see the franchise players carry the team. That even if it's not the quarterback.
Yeah,
if you
pay a guy, you want to see him play well.
That's expectation.
So that it's not a waste.
And that's fair. I mean, that is nothing unfair about that. And sometimes that really it bothers me that players like, okay, well, they want to get paid all the money, but they don't want all the criticism when they're not performing. And you want your cake and eat it. And unfortunately, that's not the way. This is the business of playing football and being criticized by us or whoever. That's part of the whole genetics of this playing the game. Okay.
So I'm curious about something, Tony. And the Cowboys have won 2 games in a row, so maybe that kind of shakes it. So we're talking on Tuesday morning. Monday night it was announced that the Pro Bowl rosters were announced. The Cowboys don't have a single Pro Bowler. I believe I saw a tweet from David Hellman of DallasCowboys.com. It is the first time since 1989, the first year that Jerry Jones owned the Cowboys, that the Cowboys don't have a single Pro Bowler. Now, they might get one as an alternate. The Pro Bowl does not mean today what it did when you were playing. Before, it was a part of your resume. You know what I mean? Like, and the Hall of Fame bus in Canton, they say, like, 10 times Pro Bowl or whatever. Like, now it's like, does that really matter? Like, whatever. I mean, because for
those accolades and that resume, you need the Pro Bowl. But as far as playing in it and being an honor, not so much.
Totally. So the point is, though, the Cowboys were flexed out. And I tweeted this after the Cowboys won. I said that game is without doubt going to be far more entertaining than whatever the Giants and Browns do on Sunday Night Football. And sure enough, it was. But the Cowboys were flexed out of Sunday Night Football. They don't have a single Pro Bowler. I feel, and that's why I'm really curious for your opinion. It's been very interesting to hear Troy be critical, as we've talked about. Although Troy, not that Troy's like constantly bagging on the Cowboys, but Troy has never been shy to, call a spade a spade. Darren Woodson's done some media rounds, as we talked about, and he's kind of called the team out. I do feel like among you guys, people that, put blood, sweat, and tears into lifting this organization up, shame is not the right word. But for lack of a better word, it does feel like there's a greater level of shame than there ever has been. Because in years past, it's felt like, oh, this sucks. The Cowboys have reached a new low. Like, everything's bad, whatever. But then, like, nothing ever changes. I don't want to say like this time's different, but this time does kind of feel different. It does feel like the level of embarrassment is impossible to ignore this time. I don't know if you agree.
I think for me, it's more not shame. It's more embarrassment, because I think that, for me as a defensive player, and obviously, Troy's connection and Woody's connection is a little bit more than mine. They were there their whole careers, but still, I was part of a tremendous dynasty. Not to downplay that or not, but the point is that, when Troy, when he makes comments, people listen, and he's, a lot of people, the expectation is that he's going to be a homer and
right,
just kind of have that Michael Irvin, Emmitt Smith type of take on the Cowboys. Never saying anything negative, because I don't know, they just don't feel like it's their, their bravado, whatever they want to do. They don't say anything negative. But I think for me to watch, I think defensively is just really, really hard to watch, considering there's been so many great players. And to your point about no Pro Bowlers, that's just an indictment on how bad you are this year. And, I think that, Zach Martin, how many Pro Bowls has he made? He's
never not been to the Pro Bowl.
So this is the first time for him not to make the Pro Bowl, and he's been injured. And, if that guy doesn't go, then, that something's wrong with his team. And,
right.
And defensively, again, I'm going to go back to the usual suspects: DeMarcus Lawrence and Jalen Smith.
D-Law was so there. I think that people attack them both for different reasons. D-Law had the forced fumble on Sunday on Nick Mullins.
Yeah, I without a doubt, I think D-Law is playing. But I mean, again, it's the expectation. I'm using it more in reference of what people are expecting to put up the numbers, and it certainly hasn't been that year. I for whatever reason it's been, he hasn't been a dominant force that people expect him. He's not going to have. I mean, what does he have? 8, 9 sacks now, something like that. I mean, maybe he can get to double digits. He only had 5 last year, if I'm correct. But I mean, to the point where there's no Pro Bowlers. Look, I remember when I played, when we had the number 1 defense in the National Football League in 1992, when we went to the Super Bowl and won the Super Bowl. We had no Pro Bowlers on our defense, and we deserved to have guys because no one knew our names.
Right.
And your point about, it's not as important. I mean, back in the day, whenever we went to the Pro Bowl, it was a physical exertion.
Yeah, the game itself was a whole lot different. Yeah.
So guys just really just kind of opt out this year because they don't,
it's
more like a flag football.
Yeah, this year of all years, it's just on Madden. So,
yeah. But I mean, it's an honor, and it should be.
So I don't want to dwell on this because this feels like it happened forever ago. But again, I've never played in the NFL, so I'm very curious for your take here. A lot of people, Tony, were bagging on Jalen Smith because he didn't know that the game had been flexed from primetime to noon until he met with the media last Wednesday, I believe. Did that ever happen to you? Like were you ever on a Friday unaware of what actual time the game? I know that again, now they've got it monitors everywhere, but I know back in the day they had poster boards on stands and stuff with all your schedules and everywhere you've got to be, whiteboards and things like that.
Cue cards when you walk in.
Right, chalkboards. But so
put it on the board when you whiteboard when you go into a meeting. The game is at noon this week. If you guys want to make sure that you guys are on time.
Did you ever not know what time?
Not on Friday.
Late in the week. It was Wednesday. I think it was Wednesday. It was earlier.
Probably.
Than
I mean, I think it could happen, and I don't have a issue with that.
Right.
Look, I'm more concerned about him knowing which gap to hit and not make a tackle 10 yards down the field. I'm a little bit more worried about that, and it's not going to bother me. I'm not going to pick on Jalen Smith, although, I've tweeted out things about him before, and I think that's that's good criticism. I mean, I think any player that cannot take criticism and understand that, look, I'm being judged. I don't have a problem with it. But now, if this would have happened on Friday, yeah, I think everybody would have been all over it. But I mean, what time you're playing. But Wednesday's kind of like, okay. But I'm surprised because Jalen, I would assume Jalen Smith is real cognizant of what's on social media and what's being said about him. But maybe he just said that, just say, what? Maybe he was just being a little sarcastic. I don't know. But regardless, it gives all the Jalen Smith haters an opportunity to rag on him even more.
It was a really interesting comment, specifically how he said if Jerry wasn't tripping, then they were good. That was my problem with it, because if you're Jalen Smith and you're not upset that you're flexed off of primetime, that's one thing.
First of all, I mean, that's the thing about this team is that it's all referenced into the owner, and I've said this on our podcast before. The comfortability that they have with the owner and just disregard, the coach or head coach. I mean, that's the problem with that's the nature. That's the, right. Culture of these Cowboy players.
Well, and that's again, that was my issue. I wrote 1,000 words on this because I was so upset myself. Because again, if you're Jalen Smith and you're not upset that you were flexed off of primetime, I can accept that. I disagree with you. I think you should be upset. I think you should be embarrassed because you're that bad. But fine, if you can come to that conclusion of your own accord, I respect your ability to do that. However, if your immediate thought process is, I only feel the way Jerry tells me to feel. If he's upset, then I'm upset. If he's not,
that's an indictment on how you played this year. And when's the last time it's ever happened? They got flexed out.
It literally never happened.
It never happened. And you're like, okay, this is like really, we're hitting rock bottom because it never happens. I mean, the Browns are a much better team this year. The Giants, but the Giants and the Browns and you're the Cowboys. I mean, have a little respect for who what the star that you're wearing.
And that's what I'm saying. And again, even if you don't have that respect, if you can come to that conclusion on your own, at least you did that. But he didn't even do that. He said, I'll be upset if Jerry tells me to be upset. But if he's not upset, then I don't need to be upset. And that's the problem to me. Is you should not, your every decision should not rest on the way Jerry feels about it. You should have your own feelings about it. Jalen is the only player I've ever heard, and I've said this before, say that he wanted to be a captain. When he got his extension with the Cowboys in that press conference, he called himself a leader, and he said, eventually I'm going to be a captain to the Dallas Cowboys.
See, I think we talked about, I don't have a problem with that.
Me neither.
I think everyone wants to be a captain. Hell, I wanted to be a captain because it's respect from the organization and your teammates.
But I don't have
a problem with that.
I don't either. But if you're gonna put that out and you want to be that leader, that alpha guy,
you need to play like it. You need to be that example.
And you have to be the guy that's you gave how many thousand media interviews in your life? It would have been so easy to have said, hey, Jalen, you were flexed off Sunday Night Football. How's it make you feel? It would have been a cookie cutter answer, but say
pissed off, man.
Yeah, say, we're the Dallas Cowboys. The standard here is to be the best. We're working on getting that back. And that would have been a lame cliche answer, but it would have been a million times better than what he said. And he played okay. I'm trying not to just own in on Leighton Vander Esch had a bad moment. And now apparently has a high ankle sprain. So his status is in doubt. I did want to shout out Neville Gallimore, the fellow Oklahoma defensive tackle who once was a 7.5, but apparently was too good for it in like 96 better. But he and I think, I'm curious if you agree, I think Jim Tomsula deserves a lot of props. Jim Tomsula, we've talked about a lot of defensive tackles playing well for the Cowboys. Tristan Hill was playing really well before he got hurt. Antoine Woods has played really well this year.
Wow, we forget about Tristan Hill, man. That's been a long time ago.
Right, and now Neville Gallimore's playing well. Jim Tomsula is making it work.
Yeah, I think and look, I don't know if we talked about this last week, but Stephen and Jerry come out and said that Mike McCarthy's job is safe, but Mike Nolan's probably not going to come back, and so Mike Tomsula, I don't know if it seemed like he was talking about a majority of the staff. So that will be a guy that they need to really think about
Right.
if they're going to bring back as a defensive lineman. To your point, I think he's really done a nice job. Neville Gallimore, he's a rookie. I mean, he's a young guy, but he does still have he's got the capability to be a force up the field. And so it was good to see him make some negative plays. I mean, they need a lot more of that. They need to be able to feed off that. And Tristan Hill was a great story. Consider coming this season, he was kind of on the bubble. And
he was.
Gerald McCoy got injured this year, and so the door was open, and he took advantage of it.
Tony, so I do a show on the ESPN Nation NFL show with Rob Guerrera. He's a 49ers fan. He told me something last week that I have never heard before. He said that with the lone year that Jim Tomsula was the head coach of the 49ers, that he used to go around the locker room and he would be the guy that picked up the towels, like with the bin, that wheels it around.
Mm-hmm.
Could you, in all of, like, I'm talking high school through the NFL, ever imagine the head coach doing that?
No, but maybe it's I think that really, and maybe as I get older, it's kind of like making your bed in the morning. Did you feel a little bit better about yourself and
I thought of it as
to wake up, but
yeah,
going to the locker room and seeing stuff all over the place and picking up towels. But I think the message you send is like, look, I'm not too good to be in here doing this.
Oh, totally. It was unique.
I'll be equipment manager. I'll be the guy in the locker room picking up, towels or whatever it may be. But I think that's a good example to set for people.
Well, and I took it as, or saw it as, there are so many coaches, so many people, so many, staffers that people never hear about that are very close with NFL players, as because they do things like that. Because you see them every day. They bring you your water or whatever. They handle your meals or whatever. And I thought of it as that might have been his opportunity to talk with guys, right? Like wheeling the thing around.
I'm not above this. I can.
Right.
Yeah,
and hey, Casillas, this towel's disgusting. Like whatever. Just, getting that one-on-one.
Hopefully he had gloves on when he picked up those towels.
But it was fascinating. Okay, Tony. So Christmas is this week. What is the one gift you're hoping for?
Wow. Get rid of COVID-19.
Yeah, I think
the
world shares that. Yeah.
Yeah, and health and happiness, and I always like spending time with my family. I mean, it's a time where you just put the brakes on and just try not to think about all the crud that you got going on in your life, and not think about how bad you got it, and think about how bad other people have it. And I'm not trying to get all philosophical and just trying to the emotional part of it. But to me, that's what I'm looking at. And I think one of the best gifts I got the other day is that someone knocked on the door, and some people that have done some work for us, they were dressed up in Santa Claus and delivered me some homemade tamales.
Right on.
So I posted that picture of that. And look, I think that, to me, I think that's, we got so much suffering going on today and just a lot of other things. But I think that's what, just to have some calmness, man, and everyone stay healthy and everything that's going on. How about yourself?
I echo that. It's been certainly quite the year. Mm-hmm. Last week I had a meeting, and it was kind of a Christmas social over Zoom. We all talked about what we were grateful for this year, and kind of a personal or professional win. Mm-hmm. And I know you and I have talked about, my wife and I, we moved this year in the middle of COVID, mm-hmm. and now we live in the same neighborhood as my parents. And I'm just, I'm an only child. And so, for me to have the three people I love most in the world, just, right around all the time, mm-hmm. in my wife and my folks, and obviously our little dog. It's just, I get to play golf with my dad, all the time now. And it's just something I never thought would be the case. And so I really enjoy that. And I'm really grateful. And I hope for the sake of literally of humanity that this, the 2021 is a more prosperous year for everybody.
Speaking of golf, you and your dad made me think about Tiger Woods and his protege, son Charlie.
That was sick, man.
That was sick, wasn't it?
That was honestly
his swing. They're like twins, man.
Everything,
mannerisms, everything they do, it's just crazy.
So
genetics.
and maybe this is a weird way to think about it, but I honestly felt the most amount of things for Justin Thomas because on Saturday, you're talking about the PNC Championship. Tiger Woods and his son, for anybody that didn't see, played together. And Justin Thomas, who's one of the top golfers in the world, played with them on Saturday with his dad. And I thought about, JT grew up idolizing Tiger and is now very close with him and, is very close with Tiger's son in a playful, friendly way. And I thought about, like, how sick must it be for JT to be playing a competitive round of golf with his dad next to his boyhood idol in Tiger Woods, who is now his friend, and Tiger's son, who he can now help like mentor to be the future generation. Like I thought like it had to have been the coolest thing to be JT.
Yeah, and to your point about being able to play golf with your dad. I mean, my dad never played golf, and my sons play golf now, and it's just the quality time you get to spend on a golf course. And look, to be able to experience that, I mean, there's nothing better than that, man. 4 or 5 hours it lasts, and cutting up and having a little competitive golf. And,
sure.
It's you can't replace that, man.
I agree. Awesome. Okay, Tony, 2 last ones, and they're very quick. Mm-hmm. The first one, did the Dallas Cowboys beat the Philadelphia Eagles on Sunday?
It's a Christmas holiday. I'm going to go no.
Oh, see, I think the Cowboys win. This obviously if the Cowboys lose, that ends it. But do the Carolina Panthers help them out and beat the Washington football team?
Gosh, no. I think it'll be.
Think they both losses? You're calling?
Yeah, I think Ron Rivera for some reason, beat his old team. I don't know. As much as I bet against the Cowboys last weekend, and they end up winning, but I don't know. I just don't feel good about this one against the Eagles.
Okay, well, I think the Panthers do win. By the way, I think it sets up, kind of nice. For the Cowboys next week. I think we all hang on one more week. But I do think that there is going to be some Jalen on Jalen crime this week. Jalen Hurts on Jalen Smith. I think at one point Hurts is going to break loose and he's going to have Smith one-on-one. And I think it's not going to end well for the Dallas Cowboys linebacker. But hey.
I thought you were going the other way with that, considering you're picking them to win.
No, but at least Jalen Smith's Fighting Irish made the playoff over my Aggies.
That's another show we need to discuss on the craziness. Real quick, Ohio State made it into the playoffs.
I don't have a problem with that.
In only 5 games. The reason why I'm whispering, because my wife is in the other room and she went to Ohio State. And I want her to be happy over the holiday.
Okay. Well, I truly don't have a problem with for anyone, because I got a lot of tweets like, how do you feel as an egg, blah, blah. I don't have a problem with Ohio State.
But I have an issue with Notre Dame. I mean, they're playing them twice and get their ass kicked twice again.
You get your ass kicked the day before. There's just something that tastes wrong about, the team that just got mollywopped yesterday, they're in the playoff. That just doesn't make sense to me.
Hey, shout out to my Sooners for winning their 6th Big 12 championship in a row.
I saw you were there. Looked like an enjoyable day. Hopefully.
Hey, I will say this, RJ. For someone you haven't been in the building since COVID when the Cowboys have played.
Right.
It seemed like there was twice as many people there, and the energy in that building was amazing in the Big 12 championship last weekend. It was a good environment.
Congratulations to the Sooners, Tony. I'm glad that your team could experience success. I'm looking forward to
sorry about A&M, man. Hey, it's getting better. It's getting better, brother.
We're going to go beat down Mac Brown's team like old times. It's going to be good. It's going to be fun. Everybody, thanks for listening to us. Have a very Merry Christmas. We'll see you next week. This was the 750.